Welcome to LGN. Today we're going to look at the top 10 video games inspired by books, the authors that wrote them, when they were published, and some fun facts. Let us know in the comments below which of these you have played or read. Number 10. Harry Potter. The book was published by English author J.K. Rowling in June 1997. The story follows the protagonist Harry Potter as he attends Hogwarts, the School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, in a series of 7 books. The first game in the series, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, was released in 2001 by EA Games. The games for each of the books would feature different gameplay styles including RPG, puzzle, and action. There have been many spin-offs including the Quidditch World Cup, Book of Spells, a PlayStation Move game, Harry Potter Connect for Xbox, and some mobile releases including Hogwarts Mystery and Wizards Unite. And all of the books have been done in LEGO style. Where will the Harry Potter games go from here? Number 9. Lord of the Rings. The Hobbit was published in 1937 by English author J.R.R. Tolkien, and Lord of the Rings in July 1954. The story is an epic fantasy set in Middle-earth, following a quest mainly through the eyes of the hobbits Frodo, Sam, Merry, and Pippin. The first game, inspired by the book series, was a text adventure, The Hobbit, which was made in 1982 for the ZX Spectrum home computer. Over 30 different games were made for different consoles: action, adventure, RPG, and strategy, including real-time strategy. There are even fan-made games out there, and some that were never released to the public. The Lord of the Rings Journey to Rivendell was announced in 1983 by Parker Brothers for the Atari 2600, but was never released. The prototype ROM can be found at Atari Age. Number 8. The Witcher. The book series was written by Polish author Andrzej Sapkowski, starting in 1993. The series follows The Witcher, Geralt of Rivia. CD Projekt Red, a Polish video game company, asked for the rights to make a game based on the novels. The games follow the story after the main events in the novels. The first game was released in 2007. They developed the first game on BioWare's Aurora engine and used their own engine, Red Engine, for the second game's development. There have been 15 million copies sold by May 2020. It has even been made into a television series that you can stream on Netflix. Number 7. I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. A short story by American author Harlan Ellison, published in March 1967 in the issue of If, Worlds of Science Fiction. The story is a post-apocalyptic science fiction about a supercomputer that becomes self-aware. The point-and-click computer game was developed by Cyber Dreams and co-designed by the author in 1995. The game takes place in a dystopian world with the artificial intelligence, AM, has destroyed humanity. The game included graphical content and was never released on PlayStation, only on the PC. It was out of print for a while and considered abandonware for years, due to the closure of both the developer and publisher. In 2013, the rights were recovered by Night Dive Studios and re-released on GOG and Steam. Number 6. Parasite Eve. This Japanese novel was written by Hideaki Sena in 1995. The book was later adapted to a movie, video game, and manga series. The game was developed by Square in 1998 for the PlayStation 1. The game is a sequel to the novel's story. In the original story, a superhuman named Eve was created because of the microorganism mitochondria. The video game follows the story of a New York City police officer named Aya Bria who attempts to stop Eve from destroying the world. It is an action RPG with survival horror elements. As of 2004, the game has sold over 1 million copies and has a Metacritic score of 81 out of 100. Number 5. Bioshock. The video game series has influences from a book called Atlas Shrugged, written by Russian-American author Ayn Rand. The book was published in 1957 and explores a number of philosophical themes about objectivism. Bioshock was released in 2007 by 2K Games. The game is set in an underwater dystopia and is considered the spiritual successor of System Shock. It incorporates ideas of utopian and dystopian thinkers of the 20th century such as Ayn Rand, George Orwell, Aldous Huxley, and historical figures such as Walt Disney and John D. Rockefeller. Bioshock explores the underwater world of Rapture and represents how objectivism has failed under the city's founder and ruler, Andrew Ryan, an embodiment of Ayn Rand. Bioshock went on to have 2 sequels, a prequel novel, comics, and a cancelled film. Number 4. Dante's Inferno. The first part of Italian writer Dante Alighieri's 14th century epic poem, Divine Comedy, was published in 1472. The Inferno tells the story of Dante, through the 9 circles of hell, guided by the ancient Roman poet Virgil. The video game was released in 2010 by Visceral Games and published by EA. The book is considered public domain, in which the intellectual property rights have expired and forfeited to the public. In most countries, this happened 70 years after the death of the last living author. The video game is loosely based on the book and follows Dante as a Templar Knight. It is an action game in which Dante is on a quest through the 9 circles of hell to save Beatrice from the clutches of Lucifer. Since the game ends in a cliffhanger, it was widely speculated that there was a sequel, but no further information has been released since 2017. Number 3. Tom Clancy series. Best known as an American novelist for his technically detailed espionage and military science stories set during and after the Cold War. His name has become a brand in itself, and his books have sold over 100 million copies. The first game was based off his book Red October in 1987. In 1998, he published Rainbow Six, which was co-released with the video game by the same name, developed by Red Storm Entertainment for the PlayStation 1, N64, and Dreamcast. This was the start of a series of game sagas, including Ghost Recon, Splinter Cell, and The Division. The author died in 2013, but his name is still being used by French developer Ubisoft, who bought Red Storm Entertainment in 2000, and Tom Clancy's name in 2008. Number 2. Alice in Wonderland. Written by English author Lewis Carroll in 1865, the story follows Alice, who falls through a rabbit hole into a fantasy world called Wonderland. The book is now in the public domain and has seen various adaptations in film, animation, literary media, and games. The first game to follow Alice's adventure was Through the Looking Glass in 1984. A year later, a graphic adventure game was published by Winham Classics for the Apple II and Commodore 64. There have been other renditions by Disney and American McGee's Alice. Number 1. Suikoden. The Chinese story called Water Margin, also translated to Outlaws of the Marsh, is accredited to Shi Nai'an, written in the 14th century. The story, set in the Song Dynasty, tells of how a group of 108 outlaws gather at Mount Lang to form a sizable army before they are eventually granted amnesty by the government and sent on campaigns to resist foreign invaders and suppress rebel forces. The game series is an RPG published by Konami. It follows the recruitment of the 108 Stars of Destiny, which you can use as members in your battle party. The first game was made for the PS1 in 1995, and the last main entry was in 2006 on the PS2.